Basically, someone said, let's make a Winnie the Pooh horror movie, and when somebody asked, what's the story, they got a response of, it doesn't matter, we're making a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. Hey everybody, my name is Gavin and I love horror. When we first heard there was going to be a Winnie the Pooh horror movie, we were confused to say the least. But after much hype and anticipation, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is finally here. And let me tell you, when it comes to quality, it is more Eeyore than Tigger. Let's get into it. I'll get to what I think is the worst part of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey at the end, but first, be sure to leave a like for this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey comes from director Rhys Frake Waterfield and is a horror take on Winnie the Pooh from the original 1926 book. Now that book hit the public domain in 2022, which is how any of this is legal. Basically, the director could only incorporate elements from that original book and could not include anything that was Disney specific to avoid being sued into oblivion by the House of Mouse. That's the House of Mouse way. That's why there isn't any Tigger in this movie or any Disney specific characters. It's also why Pooh doesn't wear his iconic red shirt or demonstrate his chronic pantslessness. The premise of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is that Christopher Robin left for college and abandoned Pooh and Piglet in the 100-acre wood during that 5-year period. Now, without Christopher Robin to come hang out, play with them, and also, bring them food, things got a little hard on them, and they became so desperate and destitute that they had to end up eating Eeyore, which is depressing. It's depressing. It's a depressing premise. But ever since they had to eat Eeyore, they have now hated humans. Since Christopher Robin left, they've gone back to their most primal and feral animal instincts, which is pretty scary. It's a pretty scary premise. However, I'm going to call BS on going back to feral instincts because they're still wearing clothes like people. And if I'm going back to my animalistic instincts, there's no way I'm still going to wear pants. At that point, the Charmin bears are more feral than you, which makes sense because the Charmin bears are also Pooh bears. Eventually, after that 5 years, Christopher Robin returns to the 100-acre wood with his fiancée, and he finds that Piglet and Pooh are now feral, murderous monsters who end up killing his fiancée and kidnap Christopher Robin. Now, granted, I love this concept for a horror movie. Like, I'm a huge fan of taking childhood things like nursery rhymes or children's stories and making them into horror. One of my favorite things in the entire world is American McGee's Alice. They took the very familiar story of Alice in Wonderland and made it dark and twisted, and they really made an entire world based on that, and I loved it. So I love when you can take something childhood and make it twisted and adult. Blood and Honey does not do that. Basically, someone said, let's make a Winnie the Pooh horror movie, and when somebody asked, what's the story, they got a response of, it doesn't matter, we're making a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. The lack of any meaningful story or characters really hurts Blood and Honey. You go from this really cool concept of the protagonist being Christopher Robin to transitioning to a group of girls who are just hanging out and one of them has to get over a stalker or something, and then they go to rent a cabin in the 100-acre wood to help their friend get over it. But honestly, I can't remember any of these girls' names except for I think there was one called maybe like Zoe. And then the movie just becomes like, let's watch Pooh and Piglet kill these girls. And there's no story, there's no real connective tissue to hold it all together. It's just kind of there because you have to have your Pooh and Piglet kill people. Blood and Honey also doesn't really know how any of its lore works or how Pooh and Piglet are connected to the real world, which is weird. Like, for me, it seems like I guess you can just like rent a cabin in the 100-acre wood. I thought it had to be like a magical place or an enchanted forest, or you had to like believe in Pooh and Piglet or be a child. But apparently, no, you can just like go rent a timeshare in the 100-acre wood, which also kind of makes it weird that Pooh and Piglet had to eat Eeyore for some reason. Like, if you can just like, you can like go ask somebody else for food, or I don't know if anybody can just go there, just like DoorDash some stuff. To me, it sounds like they just wanted any excuse to eat Eeyore. How long has he been gone? 2 days? You guys want to like order something? Nope, time to eat some ass. Also, the kills were really weak compared to how much the director was hyping up. Going online and saying things like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey was going to push the boundaries set by Terrifier 2 is hilarious in retrospect. These kills are not on the level of Terrifier 2, yet alone Terrifier 1. The special effects aren't anything really special either, and the kills are not particularly imaginative. And then my favorite thing is like, some of these kills are so poorly lit that you cannot tell anything that is happening in them whatsoever. So you can have the coolest kill in the world, but if you don't turn the lights on, I can't see any of it, and it does not matter. There's also been a lot of criticism online about how bad the acting is in Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and honestly, the acting is not very good, but it never distracted me, and it never really stood out as like a part that was particularly bad. But then again, there are so many bad elements in Blood and Honey that they all kind of blend together after a while, like a really crappy smoothie. And I've seen some people also online say, like, you can't criticize this movie because it's very low budget. What did you expect? It didn't have the biggest budget. But honestly, if you have a director who's going online and hyping up this movie as much as they did, you set expectations very, very high. And just the idea of taking a property like Winnie the Pooh and turning it into a horror movie, you're always going to have a target on your back. So yes, you get that amazing publicity by every horror movie website saying things like, oh, they're making a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. If he was just making like a regular slasher, nobody would have cared. But because he decided to make it Winnie the Pooh, people care because Winnie the Pooh is a huge part of people's childhoods. So if you want that publicity from making a Winnie the Pooh horror movie, you also have to recognize that you are going to be criticized if that movie does not turn out very well, like this one did not. And then yeah, you have an entire movie basically being made on the idea of ruining your childhood, which you can't ruin a childhood by making a movie about their favorite things and then making it horror. Like, that's not how any of this works. But it seems like this idea of like ruining childhoods is what this director wants to keep doing. He's already planning on doing like a Bambi horror movie, a Peter Pan horror movie, and then just this past week he wants to do like a horror version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then also doing a horror version of the Teletubbies, which good luck making anything scarier than the actual Teletubbies, my guy. I mean, if he wants to keep doing the like childhood ruining series, I guess, like give them some kind of story or like some reason to exist other than we made a slasher with Pooh and Piglet and that's what we did. Did we do good, internet? Did you like us? Do you like us? Please like us. And finally, the worst part of Blood and Honey for me was just how dumb Pooh and Piglet looked. Like, Pooh more so than Piglet. Piglet just looks like a regular warthog, like a feral pig. He looks honestly like he'd be more in line to be starring in whatever horror Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie the director wants to do, playing Bebop. Like, he's a warthog, like that's what it is. It's not particularly creative. He's wearing a warthog mask. Pooh, on the other hand, looks like a big old goober. He looks ridiculous. It's not scary, it's not childlike. It just looks stupid. It looks ridiculous. And this idea that they made these masks for the movie and trying to like make it scary, it does not work for me in the least. And I really hope you enjoy watching a big latex mask / prosthetic dip its big old dumb face in a honey pot, because that's all Pooh Bear does when he's not killing people. It's just that mask, dipping his face in honey and watching like honey and saliva and blood drip off of a mask. Like that's all they do. And by far, it was just the dumbest, goofiest part for me was those stupid masks showing Pooh Bear and Piglet. One positive thing that the movie does have going for it is that it is a short watch. It's only about 82 minutes, so it's not a chore to get through. The movie it moves through at a pretty brisk pace with kills getting set up and being executed, so that was good. And then yeah, even though the movie does objectively suck, the novelty of it did work for me for a little bit. Like, yes, it's hokey and dumb, but you're watching a Winnie the Pooh horror movie, which is something we never thought we'd see. So in that aspect, it does work. Yes, it's dumb and it's hokey, but I will take a dumb, stupid, hokey slasher over pretentious art horror any day. But what did you think? Did you enjoy Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, or were you underwhelmed or hate it like pretty much everyone else? Also, what children's property would you like to see turned into a horror movie? Let me know in the comments below. As always, if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave a like for this video. I greatly appreciate it. And until next time, stay weird.